Welcome back to the channel. My name is Douglas, and in today's video, we're going to be talking all about the USB audio interface that comes built in with the Yamaha YC series. So I'm going to go through a couple of different things today. Number one, how to get set up, install the driver, plug the keyboard into the computer, and just start to see this interface on your computer. Second thing we're going to look at is using this to record the audio of the sounds on the keyboard to your computer, to your DAW. I'm going to be using a free DAW called Waveform. It used to be called Traction, and it's a really good kind of DAW if you're just trying to get started in the music making or the computer audio side of things. Then we're going to look at using the MIDI capability of the Yamaha YC and play a virtual instrument on our computer, looping it back through the audio on the YC series, and kind of talk about this in the context of using this maybe live, where you're playing Mainstage or a virtual instrument or a bunch of virtual instruments on your computer and flowing them through the outputs of the Yamaha YC series. So you can also play the sounds here. So we could layer a piano with a virtual instrument synth and only have to go out of the two main outputs on the Yamaha YC series. So really cool stuff. Let's jump right into it. The first thing we're going to do is swing over to the computer. I'm going to show you where to get the driver. You're going to need this. It's a single driver for both the audio and the MIDI. Let's go check it out. So over here on the computer, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Yamaha's website and the YC series page. Scroll down a little bit and you're going to see this downloads menu option here. Click on that. That's going to load the downloads page. And in my instance, I'm on a Windows computer here, but if you're on a Mac, there's Mac drivers as well. Really small, less than 5 megabytes. We're going to grab the latest Windows update and we're going to click on that. What that's going to do is bring you over to that Yamaha Steinberg USB driver page. Scroll down to the bottom, read this if you so wish to read it. Click yes, I agree. And then click on this purple download button. That's going to download it. I already have it downloaded here. And what we can do is go on over to that directory and you'll see that YS USB, in this case, version 2.15 Windows. Right click on that and extract all. And I like to choose to put it in an actual folder and show me the extracted files when complete. Click on extract and that's going to extract the contents. It's going to open up that directory for the extraction. Go in there and you're going to see this setup.exe file. So double click on that. I already installed it on my computer, but double click on that. It's a normal install process. And once it finishes, you're done. You don't need to do anything else. It should be good to go. So next, let's talk about connecting the Yamaha YC to your computer. So on the back of the Yamaha YC, there are a couple of USB ports. One is just kind of your standard USB that you can plug a thumb drive or a USB stick into. That's what you use to bring in new live sets, to update the firmware on the keyboard. The other one is called the two-host port. TOHOST. And that's the port that you're going to plug a USB cable into. And then you're going to plug the other end of the USB cable into the USB on your computer. I'm using a Windows laptop here. If you've got a desktop, same idea. USB from the two host on the Yamaha YC to the USB port on your computer. Plug that in, turn the keyboard on, and flipping back over to the computer here, we installed the driver already. And what we can do is pull up a DAW like Waveform, which is a free DAW. You can go to Google and search that, download Waveform. It's a great little DAW to get started. And what we've got here is over in projects, just create a new project. I won't get into how to use Waveform in this video. I've got a project here and all I did is go to my settings, go to my audio devices, choose the ASIO, and I believe this also showed up under my Windows audio, but you're gonna see this Yamaha Steinberg USB ASIO. So you should see ASIO or some form of this. Check these if you don't see it. And in the device, select that and you should see the Yamaha Steinberg USB ISO there. So over here in the channels, once you've selected the Yamaha Steinberg USB ISO, you're going to see the 2x2 audio interface that comes with the Yamaha YC. Now, you may see outputs 1 plus 2, and then you might see inputs 1 and 2 separately. So inputs 1, input 2. If you click on the input 1 or input 2 and then click on treat as stereo channel pair, it pairs that together so you'll see what I'm seeing, which is just input 1 plus 2. Make sure both of these are enabled. You can click on them to enable and disable. We're going to make sure the output and the input are enabled. And the other thing you're going to want to do is in your MIDI devices, go in and make sure that the Yamaha YC inputs and output MIDI are enabled. So again, you can click on this to enable and disable those. I'm not sure the difference between the 1 and the 2, but when we come over to our track, I believe it was the 1 that was the one that worked for me. There's no real difference here from the setup. I just enabled both the 1 and the 2 output and the 1 and the 2 input. So now that we've enabled the audio device and the MIDI device, we'll come over to our new project we create. You're going to see a list of tracks, and if you click on the little node underneath the track name, it's a little blank little sign looking thing. Click that and it opens up your inputs and outputs. You should see inputs 1 plus 2, which is the audio input from the Yamaha YC series. And then you'll also see this YC Series 1 and YC Series 2. These are the MIDI tracks. It's YC Series 1 that works for me. And we can showcase this by looking, once we select that, so go select YC Series, it's going to fill that little node in with this right here. And we can arm this track. And I'm actually going to disable this for now and just show you this. If we play this, what that's doing is just showing us the MIDI notes that we're playing there. And you'll notice down on my MIDI keyboard here, it actually highlights those notes there. And even though I don't have the audio enabled here, you're still hearing my keyboard because in Pro Tools, I am recording the audio output from the Yamaha YC out of the two main left and right outputs into Pro Tools. So it's always recording what's coming out of the keyboard here. Now, if I just turn off all of my panels on the Yamaha YC and I still play this, you'll notice it's not playing any sound because I have no sound modules turned on the Yamaha YC. But it's still capturing the MIDI that I'm playing here on the keyboard. So what we could do, just to kind of demonstrate this, is I have this MIDI track armed. We're going to go ahead and click on the record within waveform, and we're going to play a little bit here. Now remember, I don't have any sound module turned on the keyboard, so you're not hearing any sound, but it is recording the MIDI notes that I'm playing on the keyboard. So when I go ahead and stop that, you'll notice right here that I have these MIDI notes that it recorded here on my screen. So if I play this back, again, nothing's going to happen because it's outputting these MIDI notes to the keyboard, but I don't have any sound module turned on. So let's come back here. Let's turn on the piano again. So I've turned on the piano section on the Yamaha YC. And if I play this again, you'll notice nothing happens. And that's probably because my output is set wrong on this track. So what we can do, let's just verify this. Click on track 1. And you'll notice that the output is set to the audio. We actually want to set that to MIDI. So now if I play this, and it's actually not playing the correct audio. So we're going to go output of the YC Series 1. Now we should hear whatever sound I have turned on the keyboard. Which is pretty cool. Check that out. I played that without hearing any sound, but that gives you an idea of kind of the MIDI capabilities. We're just using the MIDI capability on the Yamaha YC to record the MIDI notes. And then when we play those back, whether we're playing it back from a sound, like a virtual instrument within our DAW, or if we're leveraging the sounds on the Yamaha YC. Now check this out. I could take this particular MIDI section and I could drag that down to track 3. Now on track 3, I have this 4OSC instrument here, and this is producing just kind of like a little bit of a wave synthy sound. And if I play this now, and what that is doing is it's playing those same MIDI notes that I recorded with the Yamaha YC, and I've put that onto a track that has a virtual instrument. And now when I hit play, it's playing those MIDI notes, but it's leveraging the sound of the virtual instrument rather than the actual sound within the keyboard. Now what's really cool there is the output for track 3. If I close this virtual instrument, the output for track 3 is our default output, which is set to the output on the Yamaha YC. So again, I could play the piano on here. And I could play the virtual instrument here. And that is the MIDI capability. So I jumped the gun. I was going to talk to you about recording the audio first, but we jumped to the MIDI first. So next, now that we've talked about using the MIDI capability on the Yamaha YC, recording MIDI into your DAW, let's talk about recording the audio. So keep in mind, while I have the audio outputs of this keyboard going through my Focusrite into Pro Tools, I am going to record the audio straight from the Yamaha YC through the USB cable into waveform, completely bypassing any sort of need for an interface. So I'm only using the Focusrite, again, for the purposes of this video. The Focusrite, you could get rid of that and completely record any sound on this keyboard right through the USB using this audio interface. So let's check that out here. I'm going to go over to here, and in my track 2, I'm going to make sure that it's set to inputs 1 and 2. And if we arm that and we play this, you'll see that I'm getting some input gain down here at the bottom of the screen here. And again, you're hearing the audio out of the 2 ports on the back through my Focusrite in Pro Tools. And what we're going to do, though, is we're going to record a little bit here. And what this is doing is it's taking my left and right channel through the USB cable on the back of the keyboard into my computer using the audio interface to record the audio. So if I play this back, I'm not playing anything. It's playing this back through the keyboard, and this is what we get. And if we take a listen to this and highlight our meter over here, you'll notice it's recording it at a perfect -15 to -5 dB. I usually aim to hit around the -10, and this is doing a pretty good job. That way I can still post-process the audio, put a compressor on there, do some things like that, manipulation, and it comes out really nicely. So what that did, again, is recorded the audio from these sounds. Now, let's say we want to choose a different sound here. I'm going to delete this audio clip here. Let's go in and let's record an organ here instead of the piano. So let's go hit record. We'll hit stop, and if we play that back, so again, it recorded the audio from the keyboard with no need for an external audio interface. I think that's pretty cool, kind of a nice little hidden gem in here. But let's talk about something and take this even a step further in leveraging the MIDI capabilities. So just to recap, we can use this to record the MIDI notes. We can record the audio. We could do both at the same time. So let's go in and record a little bit of music here with both the MIDI and the audio. So let's go in here and grab an electric piano. That sounds good to me. We're going to hit record and we're going to play this. And if we hit stop on this, we have both the MIDI notes with the sustains. You can see those arcs in there, which are the sustains. We have the audio. If we solo just this track and we play this, keep in mind that is the MIDI being played back through the keyboard sound engine for the electric piano. Just to demonstrate this, we could put this over here on our synth channel and we could solo this. Audio is super loud there, so sorry for the peaking. Let's bring that back up here. Let's go ahead and solo the audio we recorded from the electric piano. So that is the audio from what we're playing. So one thing that I can do is come back up here and let's go ahead and solo our MIDI again. Same exact MIDI, but let's go ahead and throw this on the Hamburg Grand. And if we play this back, so again, all this is doing is it's taking the MIDI we recorded, those MIDI notes, playing it back through the outputs on the Yamaha YC, and we get this crazy cool ability to both record the MIDI and the audio at the same time. Now let's take this one step further and use this as if we're maybe playing live. We've got Mainstage set up with some layers, maybe some synth layers on there. We want to play the piano from here, so piano sound here. But we want to leverage the MIDI and the playback of the audio through the keyboard to play a synth sound on top of this. So we could use Mainstage, we could use whatever we want. All we're doing is leveraging the computer's virtual instrument. So if I turn all the sound modules off here and just play this, nothing is happening because this is muted. Let's pull this back, arm this. Right now we're playing a virtual instrument on our computer using the MIDI notes of the keyboard and out the left and right main outputs through my Focusrite. Confusing, I apologize for kind of the convoluted way of this, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm showing you what the left and right outputs. So pretend those are headed to front of house. You're playing live. This is maybe Mainstage with our synth on there. And then what we can do is we can turn our piano section on and we can bring the volume all the way back. is pretty cool. What this does is it really opens up a lot of possibilities because we can use the Yamaha YC, one USB cable to our computer with, let's say, Mainstage. I've even used a DAW with virtual instruments from the Complete library and have that sitting there with some beautiful virtual instrument synths on there. We can use one USB cable, and then all we have to do is do left and right out of the Yamaha YC, and we're able to hear both the virtual instruments mixed through our master volume here. So I could turn the piano off. Bring this back in. Possibilities start to open up when you realize the power behind this little 2x2 audio interface with MIDI capability. So hopefully this video was an eye-opener for you if you have the Yamaha YC and you haven't really explored the audio interface or the MIDI capabilities through the 2-host USB cable. One little driver on your computer and you're good to go. I've even seen people use this with an iPad and the camera adapter from Apple, and seems to work as well. I haven't tried that, but I have seen people use it in that way. So in that case, you could have an iPad with Mainstage or something else on there, possibly use that. So really good capability, and I love that Yamaha has included this with the YC. If you have any questions, I know I went pretty quickly through some of this because there's a lot to cover, and I get excited and talk quick. But hopefully this was helpful for you in number one, recording the sounds and the audio from the keyboard to your DAW. No audio interface needed, just a USB cable. 2, recording the MIDI. And then 3, using the MIDI and then playback for the audio. And I'll just show you this real quick because I think I missed it. On our track here with the virtual instrument, all we've done is set the output of that track to our default, which is the Yamaha. And so our input is the MIDI, and the output is the audio for the Yamaha. And what that does is it allows the MIDI notes to get transferred to the computer. The virtual instrument produces a sound, and the output for the virtual instrument is the audio interface for the keyboard, which goes out of the main left and right outputs. Really cool stuff. I love that they've put this in here, and I think it adds a lot of value. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Stay inspired and keep making that music.